Hello everyone, you're welcome to another episode of Etiquette Tips with TG. As I started this month of men, I focused the month of June on men. So in the final series, being the last day of the month, I'd like us to talk about something that I've noticed, right? Maybe in this part of the world, but in recent times, you just hear about people who just you hear someone slumped. In fact, babe, you actually lost two friends.
I've lost two friends this year.
Lost
one in
two
February, one this month.
And what was it attributed to?
Stress-related ailment.
Wow. So that's what we're talking about today. Stress-related ailments. And what I find, it's strange. So I'm not, of course, there's no statistics for this, and I don't want to make a generalization. But in recent times, it's actually been men. It appears that men suffer from stress-related diseases, or sort of, men get overwhelmed by stress. And I'll tell you why I say more men than women, because I find that women, we talk. We find an outlet. We talk about it. Either we talk about it to our friends, we talk about it with our husbands, we talk about it. Women tend to talk about it. Or sometimes people talk about it with their siblings, family. But men, you find, don't really talk about it. So what are the major stressors? What are the major stressors for men? Yes.
The major one, I don't even want to mention two. The major one is finances.
Wow.
Once a man cannot meet his needs, once a man cannot meet his obligations to the family, to the community, he feels, there's a phrase I like to use. A man that is broke feels like a woman who is impotent, feels like a barren woman, a woman that can't conceive. So there's nothing that affects a man's ego, a man's psyche more than when he's incapable to meet his needs. As a man, when I begin to share my problems, psychologically, this environment has programmed us to believe that you are incompetent. Mm-hmm. So because of that fear of being vulnerable, because of that fear of being seen as not being able to handle issues, we don't talk.
And babe, can I just cut you in there? You said this environment has programmed us to feel incompetent. Incompetent about what? About discussing your feelings? Or I don't understand.
Culturally, when a man begins to discuss financial problems,
mm-hmm.
the culture has programmed us to believe or to feel that you're not capable of being a man.
Okay.
So he wants to confront his issues on his own. He keeps quiet about it. He doesn't talk about it until he's been able to resolve it. But we must also realize that as human beings, we are created to talk. Like they'll say that, a problem talked about is half solved.
Yeah.
We need to be, just talking about it alone takes the pressure off you. Even if you don't have a solution, sharing it with a friend, with a confidant, with a partner, takes the pressure off you. But we don't talk. And that's why these days you have road rage. And you're just wondering, why is this guy reacting like this on the road? It's not his fault. He's thinking of school fees, he's thinking of house rent, he's thinking of the mom who is sick in the village, and he's thinking, how am I going to meet all these needs? And because of the lull in the economy, so people's level of income has dropped, value of money has decreased, and yet expenses and obligations haven't gone down. So you have less money to meet the same level of responsibility or even more. So an average man on the street is frustrated, is so tensed up. So if you do anything, it triggers that reaction, and you begin to wonder, what have I done that will elicit this kind of reaction? It doesn't tally.
Fantastic. So you said, a major stressor is money.
It's money.
It's money.
For men, it's money. Every other thing else, a man can handle.
I like the analogy you gave, that a man, because you've actually said this to me before, that a man who is broke can be compared to a barren woman.
Absolutely.
The man feels impotent.
Yes.
Because he feels he's incapable of meeting his obligations.
Absolutely.
That's really huge. But how do you maintain composure with all the stress, in the environment, the stress that's caused by the depression, a sort of a stressed economy? Because we say the economy is even stressed at the moment, right? So how does one maintain composure with all the stress around, with the internal stress, because you actually find, I was looking at some symptoms of stress, and you find that a lot of people are going through stress.
Absolutely.
We discussed symptoms of stress, and it will interest you that, they're very relatable. These are things that we go through sometimes, every now and again. Something as simple as, so if you're suffering from, if you feel fatigue, you're constantly tired, it could be a sign of stress. A headache could be a sign of stress. Backache, body pain could be a sign of stress.
Chest pain.
Chest pain could be a sign of stress.
Loss of appetite.
Loss of appetite. Overeating.
Overeating or undereating.
Can be a sign of stress. So these things are things that are very relatable. So a lot of people are actually going through stress. When I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, I was stressed. A lot of us in this environment are going through stress at the moment. So it's important to know, how does one manage that stress? Because we still need to relate with one another. We need to maintain some level of composure. How do you manage that stress that it now doesn't become a hazard to your health?
The starting point, it's to be honest, it's a mental process. Attitude is the most important. It's the fundamental thing.
Yes.
And what I tell myself is, this is not permanent. If this is not where I was 5 years ago, then this is not where I'm going to be in 5 years' time. So whatever is triggering the stress cannot be permanent.
Fantastic.
So you need to look at your circumstances dispassionately and tell yourself,
it will pass.
This will pass. Fantastic. This is a season. You had a job, you've lost your job for 2 years, you can't meet your needs. It is not permanent. You can't pay school fees today. You were paying school fees 3, 4, 5 years ago. So guess what? This is not permanent. The mistake we make is that we internalize our problems. We personalize our problems. What you're going through shouldn't become your identity. It's a temporary thing. And once you're able to do that, it helps because what that does is that you've separated your ego from what you're going through. You're broke doesn't mean you're poor.
Wow. You need to say that again. You need to say that again.
You're
the fact that you're broke
doesn't mean you're poor.
Wow.
Nice. Being broke is a temporary state of your finances.
Wow.
Being poor it's a mindset. So you can be wealthy and be broke. Yes. So a billionaire can be looking for 2 billion to finance a project. At that point in time, he's broke. That doesn't mean he's poor.
Absolutely. Wow.
So don't personalize your present financial circumstances. It will pass away.
Okay, I hear you on that. But let me tell you something. So sometimes that stress is overwhelming. Positive self-talk is not coming to mind at the moment. Sometimes you need to actually do something immediately to get rid of that stress. What do you do in that situation?
When this is what happened. Let me give you that analogy. Being stressed is like putting pressure in a bottle or in a bag. Putting pressure in a plastic bag. If you keep putting the pressure and there's no outlet, it's going to blow.
It will burst.
And that's what happens when suddenly you find people, having an attack. And it's because it's been accumulating and there's no avenue to release that pressure. So you need to find you know what I do when I'm stressed? I go to the movies. It sounds strange. At times I've gone to the movies on a Monday afternoon. As in on a Monday afternoon when everybody's meant to be busy. But guess what? I'm so stressed, I'm not productive. So I tell myself, listen, I'm not going to kill myself. So I drop my pen, I get into my car, I drive to the cinema.
And thankfully you're an entrepreneur, so you can do
and because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in control of my time. So for me, that's a major avenue for releasing stress. So once I see a movie 1.5 hours, 2 hours, I come back, I feel better. Then I go back to my problems and I begin to confront it creatively. Look for your own avenue. For some people, it's exercise. They go to the gym in the morning, they go to the gym in the evening. 5 days a week, they're in the gym.
For me, it's cycling.
For her, it's cycling. She can cycle from here to Kafanchan. So that's avenue for her to deal with stress. For her, it's cycling.
Yes.
So 5 a.m. in the morning, she's on her bike. She's riding for 1.5 hours on a Monday, Tuesday morning.
Yes. Okay.
But you need to be careful not to look for an avenue that it's going to have a negative impact on your health. For instance, men, let's not resort to drinking. Even if you drink, let it be in moderation. Okay?
It sounds like what you're saying, because I like that, and that was leading me to my next question. It sounds like what you're saying is that, so yes, you need to look for an avenue to release that stress immediately. So as much as you're saying you need to look for a way to release the stress, you need to be careful of what you're using, what you're replacing that stress with, or what you're escaping to. Right?
Whatever we do over time, at the point where we are vulnerable, where we are stressed, it becomes a habit. So in the bid to deal with stress, and you start having side chicks from one side chick to another, then that becomes a habit. You start going to strip club, then it becomes a habit. Because we're creatures of habit. If that is what is numbing the pain, then the system becomes used to it. It's the same people get addicted to drugs. So once you experience it, it goes into your memory system, it goes into your brain. So when you're stressed, the brain tells you, you need to go and look for that thing. And that, like I said, whatever that is triggering the stress, whatever the source is, it is temporary. Life is like the stock market. It goes up today, it goes down tomorrow. When it's down, the only way to go is up. When it's up, you can show that there's going to be a burst of the bubble. So the same thing with life.
I like to appeal to men to talk. Find someone that you're comfortable with, that you trust, that you can speak with. For a lot of Nigerians, the way we relieve stress as well is church. You go to church, you sing, you dance, and then after that, your stress is gone. And a lot of the time, the stress comes back. Sometimes you need to seek professional help.
I'm going to take us back to where I started from.
Okay.
That there's something wrong about our culture that labels stress in a very negative way.
Yeah.
I was having a discussion with a friend just a week and a half ago. And he said he thought he had malaria. And he kept treating malaria and it wasn't going away. He couldn't sleep. And so one day his doctor said, you know what, why don't you go and see a psychiatrist?
Psychiatrist.
Yeah, a psychiatrist.
Yeah, but left.
So he summoned the courage and he went to see a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist said, you know what, this is a mental problem. And he advised him, gave him drugs, counseled him, and within a couple of months, he was fine.
Wow.
But he could tell me because I'm a friend.
You told me.
But if someone out there finds out I know he went to see a psychiatrist, you know what we'll say?
He's losing it.
He's gone crazy, he's mad.
Yeah.
And it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Now, if he didn't go to seek help, if he didn't go to seek professional help, only God knows what could have happened.
Yes. Wow.
And that's why I said there's a problem with our culture. The way we label those things, it's not right.
Yeah.
And people are suffering in silence. People are dying.
Wow.
People are dying for things that could be dealt with if they could seek professional help and confront it. You don't need to label, you don't need to stigmatize people for seeking psychiatric help. The environment can drive people and drive them nuts, as they practically drive them nuts.
Yes.
And when they're nuts, they need professional help. There's nothing wrong saying, I was shocked when my friend told me that he actually had to go and see a psychiatrist.
It's better, but it's better he saw one. He's alive.
And now he's fine, he's okay, he's good. Now he's sleeping, he's waking up, he's enjoying his life by just seeking professional help. Why die? Why suffer and die in silence? We need you. Please,
Yeah,
we need you.
Men,
We need you.
We need you. Men, we need you. I'd like to thank you, babe. Thank you so much for coming on this.
You're welcome.
We talked about ways to manage stress, and we need to be careful that when we're trying to manage that stress, when we're trying to escape stress, we don't find ourselves stressed by another situation.
But I need to chip in something here, which is very important. When a man is going through stress, when a married man is going through stress, the wife too should be sensitive and show some understanding.
How?
That very good. So when the man says, "I don't have," please let's just leave it there, okay? And secondly, when a man is stressed, his libido might go on the increase. So, but the woman should also try and be available as much as possible. Okay, so the demand for extracurricular indoor activities in the other room, can increase. So please, wives, help us to manage the stress much better.
So wives, help our men to manage stress better. Okay,
in the other room.
Babe, we have to stop there. We have to stop here, okay, before you start going on saying something else. Thank you very much for your attention. Until I come your way with some more, interesting topics and etiquette-related topics as well. Thank you very much for your attention and goodbye.
From Etiquette with TG and OG.
Etiquette with TG and OG. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Ciao.